You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Supernatural Chat Show with your host, Sean Cadman, only on Parasearch Radio.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Supernatural Chat Show with me, your host, Sean Cadman. Tonight's guest is hopefully going to be Hazel Ford. She's having a few problems at the moment, from what I can tell. She just keeps popping on and offline. In the meantime, if there's anybody in the chat room, feel free to ask any questions, and I'll answer them. Anything you want, whatever you like. Don't mind. While we're waiting, basically, we'll have a little chat about things that I'm doing myself as in Paraforce UK. I think most of you out there probably know all about Paraforce UK. It's an annual convention that's hosted mainly by myself and Vivian Powell from RAPS. We have some help from team members, and this year will be our third year. It's going to be taking place in September on the 29th and 30th at the Village Church Farm in Skegness. The website for anybody that is interested is www.paraforceuk.com. We've got a good selection of speakers there this year. Have a look on there, see what speakers are on there. Tickets, absolute brilliant value. We charge for a VIP ticket, which gives you full weekend access. It gets you on all day Saturday, access to all the speakers, the meal on the Saturday evening, the investigation around the venue on the Saturday night, and then it gives you access all day Sunday, again to all the speakers. For all that, it's just £60. The price of some investigations for one night. You get the whole weekend at Paraforce UK. As a VIP, you also get a little like goodie bag with a few gifts and little bits and bobs in it. So if it's something you're interested in, well worth popping along. If you pop along to our website, have a look on there. All the details are on there, so jump on, have a look and get your ticket. Absolutely brilliant. We've had rave reviews for our last 2 years, so come and see what everybody's talking about. Pop along, www.paraforceuk.com. So hi Kaz in the chat room. So a few other bits and bobs this year. There's some of you know, some of you don't. I publish a magazine, online magazine that's free called Beyond Parazine. I stopped doing it about a year ago. I was doing it monthly, and it was taking roughly 3 weeks out of every month to put the magazine together and get it all online. And with doing Paraforce, it just got too much, so I stopped it. I popped onto the website the other week to notice that I had over 215,000 views on the magazine. So basically, at that point, I thought, I think it's time to get this back out again. I put a few feelers out. A lot of people are interested, so that will be out again at the end of this month. It's now going to be a quarterly magazine, not a monthly magazine as it was before, so I've got a chance to make it worthwhile reading, get plenty of features put in there. So yeah, that's Beyond Parazine. Will be out at the end of January. All the links for that will be put out nearer the time for the website and things like that, because it's a free website, it's a Wix one, so I can't remember off the top of my head the address, so forgive me for that one. So if there's anybody got any questions, jump into the chat room, post your questions up, and I'll be quite happy to answer them. If anybody's got Hazel's phone number, give her a ring. Tell her to sort her Skype out. So how are you, Kaz? You're in the chat room. How are you doing? So we've also, some of you know I run a team called Past Hauntings. We've got an event coming up at the end of March at the Galleries of Justice, which I think there's about 4 places left for. So if there's anybody interested in coming along to the Galleries of Justice with us, it's team only. We're not doing it as a public event, it's just teams, so everybody else there will be a seasoned paranormal investigator. So if you fancy it, just jump onto Past Hauntings site on Facebook. There's links to it from my page, and grab a ticket. So I think the £30, if I remember right, the £30, which for a night at the Galleries of Justice, and we're there till 6-7 o'clock in the morning from 8 o'clock at night. So it's going to be a good night. It's usually our events that we hold as Past Hauntings, we don't do as normal events for people. We basically, it's free to do what you want to do while you're there. We've got the base room where everybody can sit and chat. We don't have strict rules that you spend this long in this area, you've then got to move on, and you go in little teams. Everybody mingles, you're free to investigate with who you like, free to go where you like, and generally enjoy the night. We don't put rules and regulations on our events. It's what you call a free-for-all, really. So, while I'm waiting, another thing, many of you may not know that I have recently, for quite a while I've been investigating on and off a place called Codner Farmhouse and Codner Castle in Derbyshire. I was asked to take over running it for the paranormal. So I started to run it for the paranormal, just hosting nights there, the team's booking it out. It's run by a trust who were desperate for money. They need as much money coming in as possible so they can keep up with the renovations of the farmhouse and keep the castle looking nice. So they weren't getting many bookings in. I decided to contact Jenny Bryant from Most Haunted Experience. I know many people's views of Most Haunted, but I thought, see what happens. Contacted Jenny. Most Haunted came down, had a look at the venue, and absolutely loved it. And they are now hosting events there for the next 2 years, which is, for the trust, is fantastic. They're paying way over the top of what we were raising from normal events, and it's worked out really well for the trust. And then Most Haunted, yeah, people have got their opinions of them, but I will be truthful, I'll be honest. Having met the guys from Most Haunted, Carl, Yvette, Stuart, Glenn and Fred Batt and the camera guys, I can happily say they are a fantastic bunch of guys. They are really, really nice, really friendly and very down to earth. We all know the background. We all know the things that they've done on TV. But at the end of the day, that's TV. As people, I can happily say they are very nice people. So I was just trying to... Again, she just messaged me that she's online. So, yeah.
Hi, Sean.
Good evening, Hazel.
Hello, how are you?
I'm not bad, thank you. How's yourself?
I'm fine, thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, no problem. Brilliant. So, how are you doing? You been busy?
Fine. Yeah, very busy. Really busy, actually. I've only been home about 20 minutes.
I said to Kerry, the producer, I bet she's rushing around like mad trying to get everything.
No, I managed to get a banana in for my dinner.
Oh, flipping out.
Say no more. I know. So I'm locked in a room now so that the dog doesn't bark. Nobody asks me any questions. Apart from you, of course.
Apart from me. And now we've got you. If you just fancy telling the listeners a little bit about yourself, what you do, general little bit of background about yourself, if that's okay.
Yeah, do you want me to start now?
Yes, yeah, are you ready?
Okay, so my name's Hazel Ford, and I set up a company called Haunted Happenings, mainly from just an idea about 10 years ago. Like yourself and other people that enjoyed doing the paranormal events and ghost hunting. I did it just because I really wanted to go on a ghost hunt. And there weren't that many people around when I started doing it, actually. So I thought I'll just set up on my own and do my own. Little did I know what was to come 10 years later. And since then, it's just grown from strength to strength. In fact, it's growing so much that it's really hard to contain it all. And it's turned from an idea to quite a big company.
Yeah.
We have about 50 team members across the country that work for us.
Wow.
And we're running about 12 to 14 events a week now. And we could do 20 easily.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that I can't manage them all. So,
I was going to say, do you find it difficult to keep track of everything? So I'd say personally, you're probably one of the top 3 event companies in the country, if not the top event company in the country. Do you find it difficult to keep up with everything?
Yeah. And when you look at it saying at the top, basically, anybody that wants to do this sort of thing, we're all the same. Everyone, just because we do more events than a lot of companies, doesn't. We still have to keep the quality.
Yeah.
And there are some really good groups coming through, and it's amazing to see it all. Actually, the standards are going up, and people are being more discerning about the ghost hunts themselves. So people that go on these ghost hunts now, they know what to expect, and they have their own standards, which is pushing the standards up itself. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, and that's a really, really good thing. In terms of managing everything, it is a nightmare. I'm not going to deny it. It's really hard work. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And because we're a weekend company, the weekends are the busiest times as well. But the team are fantastic. The Haunted Happenings team are just amazing. They're all such a great group of people, and they are our front line, and they're the ones that sort of are our bread and butter, really.
I suppose it helps when you've got a good team behind you that you can rely upon and you can trust to hold a good event.
Absolutely, because without them, we're nothing. I mean, we probably take 350 people a week on a ghost hunt, and over sort of 12 to 14 events. And our complaint ratio, because we do get complaints, obviously, but our complaint ratio is probably 2 or 3 a month, which to me is really good going. I mean, and the complaints themselves are mainly about things that are out of our control anyway. Like we didn't have semi-skimmed milk, or we didn't have full fat milk, or, they're not sort of so much to do with the ghost hunting, but more the periphery.
Yes, the little bits
the
involved.
Expectations, they've been on someone else's ghost hunt and have chocolate biscuits and, bourbon, what's it? It's coming out, and it's plain biscuits and... But they're not there for that, so I take that quite lightly, actually.
I know you've suffered this every now and again, where other teams will send people onto event companies' nights just to, say, slate them, but just to sort of put them down. Have you experienced that a lot? Does that happen?
We are experiencing it more and more. In fact, not just myself, but other companies. We had a really interesting conversation the other day, actually, with a guest who'd been on an event that I run in conjunction with another company.
Yeah.
And that guest had actually been poached on that event by a team that had gone into for that purpose, to get guests, to tell them about their events, to give them business cards. To take them outside the venue and tell them how rubbish we are, and that we're fakes and we're this and we're that, and it is infuriating. They have no idea of the work that goes into these events.
No.
None.
How do you handle something like that?
Well, usually I do it through my solicitors. I mean, we just literally, there's no point in thrashing it out on Facebook, because it just causes uproar and brings in people that have no opinion really, apart from to sort of find their way into take sides, and it isn't about
yeah.
that. It's a business at the end of the day. We are a business, and we can't afford for this to happen.
No. So, did you imagine 10 years ago when you started Haunted Happenings that you'd end up as big as you are now?
Not in a million years. Not in a million years. In fact, I think I was doing my first event. Actually, was a Galleries of Justice, which is now the National Justice Museum.
Yeah.
And I was door knocking for that event. I was putting leaflets through people's doors. I had no guess. The website wasn't built. There was no Facebook then. And I was literally, and I think I had 10 people on the event, and it cost me a fortune to run it.
Wow.
I actually can't afford to do this. But I did persevere, and got some really good people behind me. But it takes a lot of money to set up a company like this. I mean, it cost me a lot of money to set it all up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite. I don't mean this derogatory to other companies, but I think it's quite easy these days for event companies to sort of get the foot in the door and get part of the business due to, like I said, social media, YouTube, everything else, Facebook, the lot. It's quite easy for them to set up. Whereas you and some of the other companies, the older companies, had to do all the hard work, all the footwork to get this. Yeah,
there was no social media at all when I started. I mean, Facebook came in at the end of year one, I think.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's a world that evolves, and the more that comes in, I mean, we can't complain about social media. I mean, it's our bread and butter. But the other side of the coin is that the thing I don't like about other companies, and you can shoot me down, is basically a lot of these locations want deposits for their locations. So what's happening is they're not demanding a deposit up front. So the people that are hiring the dates or booking the dates are waiting until they've got the money in before they make any payment. So they're putting their places up for sale to get the money in to pay the deposit. Or to pay for the location. Well, this isn't always successful. So they have no outlays because they've not paid anything, and yet they suddenly end up with half the money that they need. Do you see what I mean? So they only end up with half the money they need. So what do they then do with that money? Do they give it back to the guests, or do they close down?
I think that's a lot of the problem, isn't it? It's about at the moment. You see all these arguments all over Facebook about people demanding refunds and venues not getting the money and companies doing moonlight flits and everything because of that, probably because that sole reason that they're putting these places out for sale without actually having the venue properly booked with a deposit.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you a great example, and I'm trying to do it. I'm not going to mention any names, but this is a really good example. I got a text last week from another company, small group that's set up.
Yeah.
You need to speak to this location for me because she's cancelled our event because I haven't paid the deposit and I've got it's sold out. You need to speak to her for me and tell her that we'll go under if you don't sort this out for me. I went back and said, well, why didn't you pay your deposit? And then I obviously Googled the date and I said, well, actually, your date's been sold on because this other company's got it now. I can see it. And I sent him the link. This is your fault. You need to sort it out. The hell is this my fault?
Yeah.
And that's how it works. Because they think it's so easy. And now those guests are going to be disappointed. It has such a big knock-on effect.
Yeah, but if they'd sold out, why didn't they pay for the venue?
Exactly. It's an oversight. Well, that isn't an oversight. That's bad business practice.
Yeah.
It's not an oversight. We pay a fortune out. I pay thousands and thousands out a week. And that's my priority. The guests and the locations are the priority. Yeah. Make sure everybody's paid. Make sure, every guest is booked on safely. Everything needs looking after.
Well, at the end of the day, it's your company's reputation that's on the line, and these people that are messing people about. How do they think they can run a business?
Well, that's it. They don't understand, so they go into it a bit blind, I think. I mean, I went into it blind, Sean. I'm not going to lie. I had no idea, none whatsoever. All I know is I lost a fortune in the first 4 months.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I persevered and, grew it and did all the hard legwork and ran it with 4 guests and embarrassingly, and stuff like that. But, at the end of the day, I tried my best and never let anybody down.
I mean, I understand completely where you're coming from, because it's like with Paraforce UK at the moment. We're on a third year this year, and so far it's cost myself and my wife and Vivian Powell and her husband, each year it's cost us going into a couple of £1,000, putting in our own money to keep it going. But it's the long. You got to look at the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the worst case scenario before you start, and if you can cope with that, then and it's worth the risk, then definitely go for it, because you build up a brand, don't you? You build a name and a brand, and everyone gets paid before me. Believe me, I'm like the last in the queue for anything, but that's how it should be. The accountability is on you, isn't it? Exactly. With Paraforce UK, you want that to be a successful event, and you'll do whatever it takes for that to happen.
Precisely, that's it. It's what you want. You got to work for at the end of the day. What originally got you interested in the paranormal?
Well, strangely enough, I used to watch Most Haunted a lot, actually, in its early days.
I think we all did.
Yeah, and I'm not ashamed to say it, because actually I thought it was very good. I really did like it. It was in the days when an orb was interesting, And,
yes, yeah.
And they do a repeat on the orb and things like that, or you'd see things for yourself, and it didn't seem very, it wasn't sensationalised. So I loved watching that. And then I used to be a psychotherapist, and I was seeing a client, and I just literally went to get some notes from the doctors out the photocopier, and this thing came through for Elveston Castle in Nottingham, which you probably know.
Yes,
in Derbyshire, sorry, not Nottingham. Would you like to do a ghost hunt, a charity ghost hunt? So I just booked on with a few friends and went to do it. So I've always wanted to get into Elveston. I've loved that place, but I've never been able to go to it.
Amazing place.
Yeah, and I just absolutely loved it. I loved everything about it. So I went to work for the company that I went with. I applied to work for them and went and worked for them. Yeah. But I realised really quickly, without sounding condescending, that I could perhaps do it better, and I wanted to try. So I did. And that's how I did it. The ghost hunting side of it now for me is almost irrelevant. I very, very rarely go out on the events anymore. I might pop and do a new location, but I'm exhausted by it all. It is exhausting.
I can imagine. Kaz Rooney's got a question for you in the chat room. She says, has Hazel got one location that she would never investigate?
Well, judging on what's happened recently, I'm not going to say the name of it though. On my own, or I suppose on my own, I would never go to the Ancient Realm on my own, ever. It just wouldn't happen. I had a terrible experience there, and I'm not a psychic, and I'm not particularly a believer either. I'm quite sort of on the fence with it all still. Yeah. And something happened to me there that absolutely made me question everything I was doing. And basically, to cut a long story short, in the barn area that most of the people that have been there will know, the guests were saying they could see something in a doorway. I went and stood by the doorway, and if you can imagine, like when you open the airplane door, you get that whoosh feeling. Yes, when you get abroad, and it's just the door's open, and it's like a heat, isn't it? It hits you. Yeah. Yep. That happened, but 100 times more powerful, and it lifted me off my feet. And when I stood up, my neck was next to the rustiest saw that was sticking out the wall that you've ever seen, and I missed it by centimetres. I mean, I would have been a goner, and I don't know what it was. Nothing really terrified me, but I knew that had happened. When you just know something's happened. Yeah. And I didn't see that frightened you. Yeah, well, and I'll never go back there again, because it actually was quite terrifying. I didn't know what happened. But, I mean, most locations, some of them are so quiet, and they're so built up to be so amazing and haunted. Yes, and you go there, and they're like, it's like pulling teeth. And then others are so innocuous that you wouldn't think it was haunted at all, are terrifying. Do you know what I mean? It's very strange. So I don't have one that I wouldn't go to, but there's a lot I'd never go to on my own, believe me.
What was High Batu Forest like? That's one of the places that I'd love to go at some point.
We're going back in April. Right. I did a team invest there. I think it was about 16 of us went out. Yeah. And it really is, honestly, words can't describe it. There's just the most amazing, sinister, terrifying, mysterious, wondrous place. There's so much that happens in there, and I can't. I can't wait to go back in April. I just can't wait to go, because there's two sides to the forest. There's the side where the UFOs are meant to have been sighted, and then there's another side where they sort of have a burial part to it all. And we did both sides, but we were exhausted on the second night. We'd had such a long night the first night. The second night, we didn't really go into it as much as we perhaps could have done. Because we were so tired. So I'm going to do that the first night this time, and then go back to the other one the second night, so we get the full experience. But it really is. I would honestly, if anyone can go out there and if anybody wants any help in getting any contacts and anything else, then just let me know, because it is a great place to go.
I think it's one of them places that's on everybody's bucket list at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously it costs a lot of money for us to take people out there, because we do it through ATOL, which is it's a lot of money when you're doing package tours, and you could do it a lot cheaper. But we do it so that no one has to think about a thing from the moment they get to the airport till the moment they land at home. They don't have to worry about anything. We do it all for them. But there's lots of ways of doing it on your own, believe me.
So, got another question for you now. Sarah Coulthard Kane, has Hazel got any further over Porveglia Island?
Yeah, basically, Porveglia. Anyone can go to Porveglia, but you're not allowed to go legally. So, because the island itself is full of complete and utter death traps.
Yeah.
So to go over there, you have to go over there with a tour guide, and you have to go over with a registered one if you're bringing people on an insurance level. To go over, and I have got permission to go from the government, so I am able to go and take guests, but I have to find the two right tour guides that I need to take us over safely. And also, I haven't done it myself yet, so I'm going to go over with a few team members, and we're going to go and do it ourselves, so we know exactly what the guests will let themselves in. And hopefully that will happen this year. As I say, the licence lasts for a year. I got it in October last year, so I'll probably be reapplying for it as well, so I can put 2 or 3 dates up. But yeah, definitely going over.
Brilliant. I think that one will sell out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I've heard so much about it. I've never been, but I've heard so much. But the contacts that I have out there are working really hard, and we can go. It's just going safely, that's the problem.
Yeah. So just before you came on, you mentioned Most Haunted earlier on. I was talking about Most Haunted because saying that I manage a Codner Castle and Farmhouse, and Most Haunted have got the rights on it now for 2 years. Basically, we let them do it because the trusts that own it need the money coming in.
Yeah.
Having met the guys from Most Haunted, so I was saying earlier on, they're such down-to-earth, nice people.
Yeah, definitely.
Completely different to what everybody sees and portrays them from the TV series. What's your opinion on paranormal, not just Most Haunted, but any of the paranormal shows? Do you watch any of them?
I'm going to be realist. I don't watch anything paranormal ever. I haven't watched paranormal shows for years. But when you look at Most Haunted and Ghost Adventures, I mean, Most Haunted, have given us so much to be grateful for whatever anybody thinks about them. Without Most Haunted, I wouldn't have had the best 10 years of my life. Yeah. They are the people that have opened the door for people to not just wonder, but actually go and find out for themselves. And, when they first came on the television and started doing it, there weren't event companies like myself, really. I think, to be honest, I think Fright Nights had done it before Most Haunted were on the telly. I actually think Fright Nights were a company that had done events.
Yeah.
And were the pivotal people, along with Dead Haunted Nights.
Right.
But I've got, I know, I've met Carl, I know Stuart, I've met Carl, I know Jenny Bryant, I've never met her, but I know of her doing the Most Haunted Experience stuff.
Yeah.
And I've got, the more they do, the better it is for us. That's all I'm going to say, because they will always have their followers, and those followers will always want to do this experience. And,
I mean, I know the Farmhouse has sold out completely for this year. They're already to add extra dates in. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. I think Most Haunted, despite what everybody thinks of them and says of them, got the majority of people doing this into doing ghost hunting.
Absolutely. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't be doing this. Haunted Happenings would never have existed without Most Haunted.
Yeah.
You know, my enjoyment of watching their shows. I used to train a girls' football team on a Friday night, and it got to the point where I had to stop doing it because I wanted to watch Most Haunted, and it was before Sky Catch Up and everything else. So, I mean, that's how much I loved it. I really did enjoy watching those shows. I don't watch them anymore. I don't watch anything anymore because, you know, you have overkill, don't you? And it's
definitely.
You know, it just doesn't mean enough to me to watch them anymore.
So I can remember sitting there watching the live cams that they used to have on.
Yeah, definitely. I used to have a laptop on the settee.
Yeah.
All the kids had to go out for the night. You know, it was really good. And I think so many people remember those days of doing that. You know, it was great. It really was great. And they should be commended for what they tried to do and what they actually managed to do.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I've heard too many things and because I'm in it all the time, you know, you tend to debunk so much in your own head now that a lot of it doesn't seem so believable. But at the end of the day, it's an entertainment show, and what else would you do for an hour apart from watch people just standing in a room if things weren't happening? You know,
exactly.
To do.
Kaz Rooney's asked again, Hazel, what's your favourite location to investigate in the UK or abroad?
Dover Castle, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. Dover Castle is an amazing location. Just so it's great in every way because of the historical side of it all, and the fact that, you know, we're talking modern history as well, and medieval history, and then side by side, you know, you have the tunnels for the medieval tunnels where, you know, the barbaric oil throwing over the invaders and the spikes are still there and still workable, and then you have the recent history of the tunnels that were used for, you know, escape purposes and infiltration purposes. It's completely different, but actually within touching distance. It really is such an amazing place. If nobody's been there, I would definitely go.
Well, there's one for everybody's list.
Yeah, very good place.
You see a lot on Facebook as well about exclusivity on venues, people moaning that different teams, different event companies have exclusivity on venues. My personal thought is, if you can, why not?
I don't really agree there, Sean, because we've never ever asked for exclusivity on any venue. I promise you, never ever asked. I really don't want exclusivity, but sometimes the location owners have so many problems with teams that they get close to not wanting to do it anymore. So the only way that they will do it is if you take it or we take it and run it exclusively. And Newsham's a good one. As an example, Newsham Hospital, we run exclusively alongside Dusk Till Dawn events.
Yeah.
We probably do the majority next year. This year, we've probably got the majority of the nights. I mean, obviously, you know, we're a bigger events side of things. We run more events than Dusk Till Dawn, so we sort of run 2 a week quite easily. Yeah. Because it sort of fits with our portfolio of events. But it's a huge commitment. I mean, we pay a fortune. Anybody that has been to Newsham knows how much it costs. So that risk is all ours. It's all our risk. You know, we have to sell, I think it's 66 dates a year of Newsham, which is a lot of dates to sell. But we don't ask for that exclusively. It's come to us. Another one that we've taken over. I'm not going to mention it at the moment because it's not happened yet. But that's another one we've been asked to take over exclusively. We're always talking to locations that actually ask us, but I'm always convincing them to not do that because it keeps it's quite stale. You've just got one group going in, the same groups going in all the time, and there isn't any diversity, and every group's different. You know, they've all got something to offer, not just us. Everybody's got something to offer. Yeah. But rather than they close it, I'll take it.
I understand some of these venues offering it. Actually, we've been to venues and they're talking to the owners and they're showing us things that have been smashed and broken. And you think, why are people letting, if it's the guests that are doing it, why are they letting the guests run riot basically around the place? It's crazy.
Well, that's all down to the team that's there, isn't it? They should be accountable. You know, they should be insured for this sort of thing, and you know, all damages should be paid for. As far accidents will always happen, won't they?
Yeah,
you can't. if someone's going to leave a Ming vase out, as soon as I see anything of any value, I have a heart attack anyway. I want to just stuff it away in a cupboard or something, do something.
Hide it quickly.
What's going to happen?
Yeah.
The worst thing that ever happened to us was we've got our own location, the Old Victorian School, and it's got a care home attached to it, a care centre attached to it, daycare centre.
Yeah.
And some idiots came in and they stole the elderly care guests, centre people, all their Christmas presents.
Oh, no. Is that somebody on an event?
Yeah. Somebody on an event. They've gone out the back door with them all. I mean, well, fortunately, we do a thing on our events where I don't want accountability from the booking person. We get every guest that's going on there with an email and a phone number. Yeah. So I can contact every single one. And I went to town on that one, believe me.
I can imagine, yeah. Wow.
Disgusting, but you don't know who's coming on these events, and 99% of the guests that come on them are fantastic people.
Wow. While we're talking about the Victorian School, I just want to say a thank you to you for donating that to John and Maxine for their event this coming Saturday. I think that's a gesture that goes to show that there is people out there in the paranormal that have got a heart. And
well, I didn't want to. When another group went down a while ago, you remember Simply Paranormal?
Yes.
When they went down, we offered a lot of guest places on events. We did the thing that everybody was doing for Alias Sanctus, really. We went and offered lots of places. Yeah. But for us, it was a disaster because what happened was they couldn't make the date that we'd offered them, and then they wanted refunds. And I'm thinking... And it got really difficult because I think we'd offered something like 100 places. And suddenly we were in a mess with all of them that couldn't attend. It became so unmanageable. So this time I thought, I'm not doing that again, but we will try and do something, which is why we offered the school. And I'm really happy that we've been able to do it because, particularly for the charity side of it, what happened was disgraceful, really.
Definitely.
And I think it's going to take a lot of time for the paranormal world to recover from that.
Yeah. It seems at the moment. It seems like there's just one thing after another, one thing after another going wrong.
Definitely. I mean, you saw Hell House went down a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Hell House, we had 7 sold-out events on Hell House. Now, every guest was paid back in 24 hours. There was no, it's done so clinically in a sense because they're our priority. But then to be accused of so much on Facebook about that location really shocked me.
Yeah,
it really did shock me. I was absolutely dumbfounded. We hired a location based on the fact that they'd done their job to be able to rent it, hire it out to teams like ourselves, like everybody else. But for some reason, it was considered that we were acting fraudulently and doing this, that and the other. And that, to be honest, in 10 years, that's the first time where I've been so shocked because the last thing we'd ever do is something that would cause harm or damage to the paranormal environment. We just wouldn't do it. It's not worth it for me to take any locations that are going to cause problems. It's... Perhaps we didn't do as much homework as we should, which, yes, I'll hold my hands up to that. But, us and many other teams, we did it in good faith and we went and did our recce's and did all our health risk assessments, worked with the location, we paid our deposits, we paid for everything, just like everybody else. So where the fraudulent activity came into it, to me, sort of smacked a little bit of opportunity,
Yeah. I saw all the stuff go off on Facebook, people having a go at yourself and all that things, and I thought it was disgusting what they were saying. I thought, what? How can you accuse anybody of that? Never mind a reputable company. It just seems that people are out these days to attack other people and try and bring people down.
Absolutely. I mean, it was libelous what they were saying completely. Yeah. And, it's my choice now what I do with that. But I just want people to understand, there's always, when you make your attacks, it's so much better to get facts before you attack. It's so much better to try and get an understanding of a situation before you start launching attacks at people. I mean, I saw another comment about somebody not paying a venue, and the same person actually that started to attack from Hell House, suddenly put up, why don't you ask Haunted Happenings? They've got the dollar. Well, I didn't just get the dollar, you know, I actually worked for the dollar.
Yeah. It's not like it was handed to you on a plate. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like, it's outrageous. You know, you think, what, why? Why do you think I just magicked up events and it was just easy to sell them all? And, you know,
I think it's that case of people begrudge other people's success, especially it seems in the paranormal.
Yeah, and it's so unnecessary because I'm telling you now, Sean, I would help anybody that needed any help, and I would expect the same back. You know, we should all be working together.
Yeah,
I've needed help in the past, and I'm lucky enough that I've got a lot of friends in the paranormal environment that will help me. But equally, I will do whatever I can to help other people. And without waffling on too much, this thing again about small groups versus event companies, which is a massive topic. You know, we don't highlight everything we do, but we work with a lot of small groups and take them on events working alongside us, you know.
Yeah.
So, for example, you might have a group of 6 that want to go into Newsham. They can't afford to hire Newsham. They're not selling tickets. So we take them at cost, and then they are able to do their own event at Newsham alongside us. And I do that a lot, at least once a week with small groups.
Yeah. It's a shame there's not more companies out there that do that, help people out, help each other.
Yeah, well, that's how it should be. It absolutely is how it should be. You know, we're not a scientific ghost hunting investigators. We're not. You know, that's not who we are. We are experience. We offer an experience so people can go and do this thing that they see on the TV. They can go and do for themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
And facilitate it.
Exactly. David Simpson has just put in the chat room, I saw some of the comments and they were very nasty. Haunted happenings have always been A+ on every event. It's not their fault if the location lets them down.
Oh, that's really kind of you, David. I really appreciate that and in fact, I was livid that night. Honestly, I was beside myself. But the strange thing was, the next day I woke up and my Facebook messages, I was inundated with really fantastic comments, you know, and it just changed everything for me. So everything that I wanted to do about what had happened sort of dissipated. And it's because of what things like David's just said, you know, people make up their own minds, don't they?
Exactly. It's at the end of the day, people who know Haunted Happenings' reputation and yourselves know that these comments that people are putting and these accusations are just bile. At the end of the day, it's venomous nastiness that doesn't need to be there.
To me, it seems like it's an opportunity. They found a way in, and it's an opportunity. Yeah. But you know, it hasn't affected me in terms of, you know, we're still getting all our bookings. We're still getting, you know, we're still moving forward and everything else. But I was shocked, very shocked, and I didn't deserve that at all.
No, I agree. Moving on, do you find that the majority of guests that you have coming along onto your events are female?
Yes, definitely.
Why do you think that is?
Absolutely, and it's really strange because I did a location a couple of weeks ago, and I think there was 7 men in all, and amongst 32 guests or 36 guests. And then you're trying to put people into groups, and you're looking at these poor men. You're thinking, you've been dragged here in the first place. Now you're going to be doing something you probably don't want to be doing. So, I mean, we recognise that, and the team are all sort of in a way trained to make sure that the guys that come on the events that actually don't want to be there because they've been dragged along are sort of, you know, given the best opportunities they can to enjoy it.
Yeah.
We don't force anything down anyone's throat anyway, but yeah, definitely female, definitely.
Do you think that's because a lot of men want the proof there before they'll believe in it, and whereas women are more open to maybe there is something out there, whereas men are like, I want to see it before I believe it?
Without sounding sexist, I think women work on a more empathic level, so they work on a sort of a more of an emotional level than men.
Yeah.
The men that come to our events and book themselves are usually geared up. They've usually got equipment, you know, that they want to investigate and get tangible results.
Yeah.
Whereas the ladies, they tend to enjoy doing the more traditional ghost hunting. And I'm not saying that's for everybody, but a lot. They enjoy doing the Ouija boards and the glass moving and all that sort of stuff. Because I don't know why that is, but for me, I can understand it. But I suppose it's from a female perspective. You know, we want the contact with our loved ones, don't we? And if there's a way we can get that, then, I mean, as a counsellor, when I was counselling, I used to counsel. Most of the bereavement counselling I did was for female as well.
Yeah.
You know, men seem to think that they can deal with stuff, and tangible stuff is more important to them.
Yeah, they don't like to talk about things, don't like to admit there's something that they can't control.
Yeah, but then I've seen grown men cry on events, you know, that didn't even want to be there. But I've watched grown men cry on events when something's happened that they actually can't debunk, or, you know, it's touched them in some way. And, you know, so yeah, I suppose it's just, but on a whole, yeah, definitely female.
Would you like at some point to just be able to have a rest and go out on a different event, somebody else's event, just go out and actual ghost hunt instead of being a host?
I would love nothing more. I mean, obviously I shouldn't really be telling you this, but I'm more of an urban ghost hunter, so I like to do the stuff like, you know, go out in the middle of the night and go somewhere I shouldn't be going, all that sort of stuff.
We're the same.
Yeah, and that's what I absolutely love. I you know, when you're working events, like you say, you're managing people, you're facilitating an experience, you're checking everybody's doing the right thing at the right time, and I mean, I went to a place, I can't even tell you where it is because I'll get into so much trouble, but I went to one place and I absolutely loved it. It really sort of invigorated my love for what I do, because you do need to do it just to get the passion back. You need to
I completely
have
agree.
your own thoughts and feelings rather than worried about anybody else's.
Yeah, we do the same. Every now and again, it's just nice to just nip out to somewhere, woods, or one of our favourite places actually is local. Probably you might know it, Wilne Church.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Down in Sawley, and fantastic place. We've caught some of our best stuff there.
Really?
And we just love to go there.
Off there tomorrow.
What's the other? Grace Dew Priory as well.
Yes, I've heard of that one as well.
That's a fantastic place, and I think we're going next week. Just pop down for a few hours. But I think it reinvigorates you. It gets you back into doing what you enjoy doing.
Definitely, because you start it for a reason, don't you? Yeah. And the reason is that you find that I was so passionate about ghost hunting to the point where I couldn't wait till the next ghost hunt. Literally, the week got in the way before I could go.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's so different. But you know, if you're thinking you're doing 12 to 14 events a week, I could go anywhere I wanted. If I could get on the plane tomorrow and go to Bran Castle and have it to myself all night if I wanted.
Yeah.
The world's my oyster in a sense. But I'm shattered. I'm tired.
I can imagine, yeah.
And I need to find a way of getting myself back into it. But fortunately, my team, and I have a great office team as well. We have a really strong office team that, you know, sort of sit with me and do all the admin and everything else. So yeah, I'm really lucky, and I do get a lot of freedom in a sense. I just don't appreciate it.
Yeah, I think when, like yourself, you're doing events like we're doing Paraforce and things, it's nice to just go out and do the things on your own. I mean, I've found that when you do go on an event, all people want to do all night is talk to you.
Yeah.
So you never actually get to do any investigating anyway.
Yeah, and also the hardest thing for me, and I'm not moaning about guests, so if any guests are listening, please don't think I'm moaning about you. But when you're on a ghost hunt, and you know, for me, ghost hunting is the raw side of it. That's the most thrilling.
Yeah.
So when you're on a ghost hunt and you've got somebody coming up to you and saying the water's not boiled as hot as I like it, you're in a different environment completely.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're responsible for the water not being hot enough, and it's managing people that is probably the hardest thing we do with the events. Yes. Managing their expectations and they don't seem to appreciate some of them, that actually the coffee's irrelevant, you know, bring a flask.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't care about the coffee if I was a ghost hunter.
No, you get that. It's like you just pick your camcorder or something up, think, right, I'm going to go and have half an hour. There's somebody, the water needs filling, or we've run out of biscuits. And?
Or haven't you got any chocolate ones?
Yeah.
Have you got any paper towels? What?
Yeah.
In fact, I just had an email before I came online. Somebody's asking about toilets at Newsham. And I've just gone back to her and said, yeah, but whatever you do, bring hand sanitizer because you're going to need it.
It's an abandoned building. They're not going to be
exactly, and
the Ritz
that's
toilets.
it. Sometimes I think they think they're coming into a sort of, 4-star hotel or something. It's really difficult.
Oh yeah, it's actually. I mean, bless them, the public are our bread and butter.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. I'm
some
not
of the
knocking
things
them, but it makes me laugh sometimes.
Yeah.
They are funny.
Where do you see haunted happenings going in the future? What have you got any plans?
Well, our forward, we do a lot of forward planning. I mean, we're on 2019 now.
Yeah.
And I have a new team come in who's doing our European tours, and our UK tours. We started building up our UK tours towards the end of last year, and they are selling so well. So we're definitely looking at doing for 2019 at least 2 European tours a month, which is going to be a hell of a lot of work. But the people, the team that are coming to do that are doing a fantastic job. They're doing such a good job.
Yeah.
So I can see it working. That's probably where the future is for us. I think we'll still do a lot of events in the UK, but I think the company it's growing so big that it needs to be sectioned off now into different compartments.
Yeah, yeah.
So that everybody knows what they're doing.
There's only so many places in the UK, and when you're growing and you want to grow your business, you have to move into Europe and probably further afield at some point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there is, but the thing is, it takes so much money to do it. And that's the thing, and you have to save a lot of money in order to do it. I do, when I put the European tours up, I pay for the flights first. So I've booked and paid for everybody's seat before it even goes up for sale. Now that risk is enormous.
Yeah.
But it means that it's safe, it's done, it's a safer way of operating than losing flight seats and being messed about and being able to contain how you're going to manage and work forward.
Yeah.
But, it's going forward.
It loops back to the beginning, doesn't it? It's at least you're keeping your reputation up as a company by securing all this, whereas some of these other teams, like we was on about earlier, are just booking a venue when it's not even booked.
Well, you probably remember Compass Paranormal, don't you, when they went to Colditz?
Yeah.
And they hadn't even booked any of it. I mean, it was outrageous, really, what they did. And the more I heard about that, the more shocked I was that,
It's crazy. I think some of these younger teams out there, call them, that haven't been doing it long, see all these event companies and think, it's just dead easy. I'm going to make my fortune and jump into it feet first without looking at everything that's involved and the hard work it takes to actually get something off the ground. Yeah,
absolutely. And when you say that, make your fortune, the costs involved in doing this are enormous. I mean, the profit margins are, everybody looks at us and thinks, look at them, they make so much money. But actually, the profit margins are so tight because there isn't a lot of profit. Our prices have been the same as they were 10 years ago. Yeah. Because we can't put them up in a way to match the new location prices because of the new groups coming in. We have to keep them at cost. Obviously, we've got some expensive locations, but it's difficult for us to suddenly put up an event £20 more than a new group that's come in because people are discerning. Yeah, they do know haunted happenings, but they'll try another group if it's £20 cheaper. Yeah. We always have to bear that in mind. We have to be competitive all the time.
So I've had this argument with people online before about companies such as yourself and TV programs and things where they're saying, they're making money. It's not about making money. But at the end of the day, I say, if you can earn yourself a living by doing what you love doing, who's going to turn that down?
Absolutely. I didn't start this to make money. I have to tell you that. Yeah. I didn't start it. I started it so I could go ghost hunting free. That's the honest. That's the honest thing. I wanted to be able to go ghost hunting when I wanted to go ghost hunting to places I wanted to go to. Obviously, it evolved into a big business, in its niche. But we have 50 team working across the country. Those team are paid very well for every event they do for us. They're paid on time. They're paid well. I have accountability from them because they're paid so well. and they don't ever have to ask for their money. They never have. In 10 years, no one said to me, "I haven't been paid."
Yeah.
It's always
That's brilliant.
done. So it's how you operate your business, I think, is the most important thing.
Yes,
And
definitely.
I'm not preaching everyone can do what they like. Everyone's different, but it's for us, it's how we operate the business that is the major importance.
Definitely. I've just got to mention quick, after we finish this show tonight, live at 9 p.m, we have Castle Rising history with Penny G. Morgan with guest Vivian Powell. I know the name Vivian Powell from somewhere, I'm not sure where. But, so once we've finished at 9 o'clock, if you keep refreshing your page, and then have a listen to Penny G. Morgan talking to Vivian Powell. So is there any advice, Hazel, that you would give, or what's the best piece of advice you could give a young and upcoming company?
Is to not, I suppose, is to do your research, is to ask questions from people like myself or other event companies. I mean, we work very closely with Dusk Till Dawn events. We're great friends, myself and Jess.
Yeah.
And we make sure that we got each other's back and we do things properly, And so people should ask other companies the pitfalls. Ask them, ask their advice. I mean, I would help anybody, and I'm sure most of the other companies will.
Yeah.
Ask them what the risks are. Ask them how they can be successful, because the more companies in this business, the more people, the better. No one's from Haunted Happenings is trying to knock out another group or company, because we need you. We need you to keep the interest going. Just do it properly. Don't let your guests down. Don't be the company that runs off with the money or is shown to be somebody that is unreliable or untrustworthy, because that will go with you for a long time. That isn't just for now. And you can see that with what's happened recently. These names that are being mentioned, and I'm not going to mention them, they are going to follow. That's going to follow them for a long time.
Yeah, that's it. They're not going to be able to shake off. A lot of what's gone off recently, the people involved just aren't going to be able to shake that off.
No, and they could have done it so differently. They could have put their hands up and said, "I am struggling. We are struggling. We are sorry. What we're going to do is try and rectify it to the best of our ability." And people would have been so much more understanding.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
You're always going to get the people that are going to complain and be awful about everything, but it's their right, and that's what you have to suck it up, don't you? And
at the end of the they've paid to go on an event. They've got a right to complain when the people who've organised the event putting what they've been putting out on social media and trying to wriggle out of it.
Yeah,
instead
absolutely.
of, like you say, put their hands up and say, "Yeah, look, we're sorry, we're ballsed up. Let's sort this out." But they don't seem to do that, do they?
I mean, they've had the money because they've been paid the money, so that money's there. And the other thing, the biggest advice I'd give to any company is never spend a penny of the money until the event's happened. Just don't spend any money. That money doesn't belong to you until your event's taken place.
No, that's it. Just got in the chat room, it says, "Hazel has been great helping me with guests for my HH show. Much appreciated, Penny."
Oh, thank you, Penny. She's great as well.
It's like you say, if everybody helps each other, it make the paranormal community such a nicer place to be.
Yeah, and there's so many good people in it, so many. I mean, you know a lot of good people, and I know a lot of good people, and a lot of people I know. There's a lot of good people in the paranormal environment, but it's the few that aren't that cause the most destruction.
Yeah, the ones that aren't seem to get the bigger voice, don't they?
Yeah, because they've got a forum to do it on, haven't they? So they use it.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. They get a few people joining them on one of the rants, and it just seems it's like a tidal wave.
Yeah, I mean, I did see a comment made about the How House thing for the people that attacked on that, which was basically saying one house down, another to go, which made me think it was East Drive that they were looking at to be on the rampage for next.
Yeah.
Why can't people decide for themselves whether or not they'd like to go to 30 East Drive? Why?
Exactly.
What difference does it make to these other people?
Yeah.
They can decide if it's haunted or not.
That's exactly it. Yeah, let people make their own minds up.
Yeah, who are they to dictate what people should and shouldn't spend the money on? It's not their business.
We heard all the stuff about De Grey Street. Oh, it's rubbish. It's all set up. We thought, right, we'll go. We hired it and went for the night. Had a great night.
Yeah, we used to do De Grey Street, Sean.
Yeah.
We did it when it first came out.
Yeah.
We had a few really bad experiences with the people that were looking after it at the time.
Right.
Not now, but at the time.
Yeah.
And I pulled out of that straight away because, I mean, I've heard since that it's being managed really well now, and it's turning into a great location.
Yeah, definitely.
But my experiences of it when we went were pretty shoddy, actually. We were treated quite badly. So I did pull out of it. And I mean, we still have the De Grey Street page on Facebook that we created, and we get a lot of queries, which we forward off to the new management so that people can still go. I'm not sure if we'll go back, but, it was a great location. It was just really spoiled for us.
It's a shame, isn't it, really?
Yeah, very. It was, actually, because it was great. I mean, I did a couple of nights there and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we loved it. And looking at the time now, it's 9 o'clock.
Wow.
It's time for us to wrap. That's flown by, hasn't it?
Flipping Nora.
Well,
it's been
thank
great
you
talking
very
to
much.
you.
It's been great talking to you as well. Thank you very much for coming on.
Well, you might see me at one of your ghost hunts, actually, that you do in one of these places.
And if you...
Just
we're
let
going
me know
to
when
the...
you go in, and I'll pack my car up and come over.
Well, we're going to Victorian School on Saturday if you're going to be there. So.
Oh, brilliant! Well, I've got one of my team members opening up for you all, and she'll be looking after you. But I might pop over and say hello if that's okay. I don't live too far. So, and have a great night, won't you? I hope you really enjoy it, and I hope the event goes well for everybody.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming on, Hazel. So
my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all the listeners. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and we shall see you next week. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Over to you,
Thank you for
Carrie.
listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.